Hey guys, welcome back to my Gear It Down 2016. As you can see, I've got some cedar arrows here, and I am kind of going through and looking at them a little bit, selecting what end that I want to use as a nock. And I got a taper tool, and I'm going to go ahead and taper all these shafts. So all I'm doing is taking my brush, putting it on the shaft here and rolling it around. And I'm using my marker lines as reference points. And I'm betting that the stain I got is going to cover up the marker. If it doesn't, it doesn't. It's no big deal. So, like I mentioned before, I don't know if you want to use this or not. Ebony 2718 is what I'm using. I really just wanted a dark color arrow. I didn't want it, bright. And if I'm going to take the time to, put a stain on it, then I wanted something. Oh yeah, that's gonna be good and dark. Shake it up a little bit first. And by adding this black ebony, to the wood itself, it kind of makes the grain pop a little bit, and that's what I wanted. Just something a little different. Well, sorry about that, fellas. The battery died last night while we were painting and putting a coat of polyurethane on our arrows last night, and they're sitting outside right now. I've got I don't know, 5 or 6 coats of polyurethane on there, and they're looking just about what I had in my mind. So while they're drying, I've got another raw shaft out, and I'm trying to tune my shafts so I know how long they need to be for the bow that I'm shooting. Now, like I said, I got 60-65 spine shafts, and I plan on shooting 145 grain tip in a handful of different ways. I've got some 145 grain broadheads with the help of this screw-in adapter. Between the 40 grains here and the 100 grains on this point, I've got 140 grains right here. And looking forward, the arrowheads that I'm having napped out, they're right between 140 and 150 grains. So everything is pretty close. And when you're planning your archery gear, you want to keep everything as close as possible, right down to the grain if you possibly can. That may be a little extreme for most people, but there's guys out there that are doing that. So anyway, with the help of this little screw-in adapter, I can screw it on a shaft, go out and shoot it, and if I don't like it, I can come back, cut a little bit off the shaft, screw the adapter back on, and then check my spine again. And that's what I'm doing. I'm getting pretty close. I've cut it off 3 times. But I'm getting pretty close, and I have been cutting 1 inch off at a time. But now I'm getting pretty close, and so I'm going to cut about 1/2 inch, make sure I don't cut too much off. With traditional archery, it's all about kinetic energy and using that kinetic energy to its fullest extent. So I'm going with about 150 grain point, and that's fairly light for traditional archery. It's not uncommon for somebody to shoot upwards of 200 grains for a point. Now, it takes a little bit heavier shaft because it'll want to flex more for most bows, but that's the name of the game. Now, there's plenty of other YouTube videos out there that I've learned this from, as far as how to spine your cedar shafts for traditional archery, and those guys have done a great job, so I'm not going to get into it any further than that. But I'm going to go ahead and cut this down just a little bit more, and we'll go out and shoot it. Okay, so we're out here at the target, and I'm only standing about 25 feet, okay? Don't really need to shoot any further than that. I'll know right away with the first shot, provided that I have good form, I'll know what these arrows are doing. As you can see, that's leaned over just a little bit, which means I need to cut just a little bit more off the arrow. But since I've cut down to 1/2 inch increments now, it's going to take just a few more times and I'll get that arrow flying right where it needs to be. I'm going to shoot it another time or two and make sure I've got good consistency. That way I know that's how the arrow's flying. It's not just how I'm shooting. And we're going to get them flying straight. Okay, so we're back again. I've actually cut a full inch off again since we last talked, but I think we've got it. We're going to shoot it, make sure. But you know, every time I cut, I double check, make sure I've got plenty of arrow out here. Once I draw, that you know, I keep the broadheads out there away from my hand. You don't want arrows so short that when you draw, it comes back and touches your hand. It could actually pull the nock off the string, and you just don't want that. So. Okay. Well, actually, it looks like, you know, the arrows might actually be kicking to the left now. So, you know, I think maybe cutting these a 1/2 inch longer than what I've got now. That's about like what I had before, only it was kicked to the left. Now it's starting to kick to the right. So I know I need to stop. Right there, that's it. That's where I need to stop. Actually, for the rest of my arrows, this is just a test arrow. You know, I could add that 1/2 inch back or add a 1/4 inch back, and you know, that should be relatively close. By having an arrow that flies, you know, very straight without fletchings at all, ensures that you know, there's going to be less drag on my feathers. My feathers aren't going to be working so hard to steer the arrow, but you know, they can work harder to spin the arrow. Look up a little bit about oscillation. You know, just like javelin throwers. You know, there's no feathers on the back of a javelin, but when that javelin starts wobbling, you know, it begins to spin, and that slight little oscillation keeps it spinning. And that's kind of what we want with an arrow. Even though it's a lot smaller diameter, it's still doing the same thing. Part of this could be my nock too. I think that nock probably needs to come up, you know, a 1/16 of an inch or so. So pretty, I want to do it one more time. Yeah, I think those are fairly dry. Boy, they look good. I didn't want a whole lot of flare, but I did want to be able to see it. And, you know, I like yellow quite a bit, so that worked out. Actually, the paint brushes, the marks, since I was spinning it so low and it's such cheap paint, and then once I wiped the black stain over top of it, it got in all the creases, and it almost looks like I wrapped the arrow in yellow sinew. It's kind of got a cool look to it. Well guys, after checking on my food plots, I come back and I fletched up a couple of our new shafts. I went with just a standard yellow feather with some black bars on it. and a right hand helical. To me, that arrow is looking pretty sharp. I bought a handful of vintage Browning serpentines the other day, so I made up a hunting arrow and just see what it flies like. Well, that's looking pretty good, guys. I hope you join me in my 2016 Gear It Down Challenge. Whatever it means to you, just gonna kind of get back into traditional deer hunting for me. So next time you see me, we'll be in full camo and be sitting in the woods. Guys, be safe while you're out there, no matter where you're at. You know, take the time to wear those tree stand harnesses and so on. I know it's September 1st and deer season's already underway in many states, so you guys be careful. We'll see you when you come back.